Here we go. Hi, guys. It's Coach JT with Pack Baseball and Softball Academy coming to you live here with Coach Jeff Gergic?
Gergic.
Gergic. I should have asked you that beforehand, Coach. I don't know what I
Close.
didn't
You're
do.
close. You're all right.
But we have an awesome guest tonight on Inside the Dugout with Pack, and I'm really excited about this. I talked to Coach briefly last week, and fortunately, he was able to jump on this podcast schedule pretty quick. But you guys are just going to absolutely love when you hear what he's doing. So, without further ado, Jeff, tell us what you're doing.
What we're doing, we're hopefully helping kids and helping families really get through this crazy, dramatic, emotional thing called recruiting, right?
Oh my God, yes.
The ups and the downs of recruiting. The one day I'm getting ready to jump off a bridge, and the next day I'm the greatest player ever. So we're trying to help families kind of really get through the landmines and do it the right way at the most cost-effective way to do it.
I love that. And last time we talked, I got a little bit of your background. So why don't you share with our community, like, what's your history and how did you get with Dan and how did you guys end up here?
Yeah, I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania. Dan's from about an hour and a half away, and many moons ago, we were doing some business, other business, and that's kind of how Dan and I hooked up. My partner, he's in Mississippi, of course. But for me, I coached at the Division I level. I coached the Division III level, so I saw the recruiting obviously from that side of it. But I've also coached high school and travel in that 16 to 18U level. So I've seen the recruiting from that side. And I've seen everything under the sun. We've seen how it works. We know what works, what doesn't. We know what we looked for as recruiters, and that's kind of how this all came about. We just wanted to do something that would be good for families, good for kids, and our motto is own your recruiting. And we believe if a family does that, if a kid does that, they're going to find the most important thing that they're looking for: athletic, academic, right? Athletic and academic, and of course, financial fit. And that's really what this boils down to. If we can find that fit for those kids, and there may be more than one, give them some opportunity and choices, then we've succeeded because, coach, no one, no mom and dad want that call in the middle of the night, mom, dad, get me out of here. And there's nothing worse than that. And there's nothing worse than being a student athlete sitting in class all day dreading going to the field or the court because coach doesn't know who I am. So we want to try to take that stuff out of the mix. And that's really how this was born.
I love that. I love that. And we're going to go into a little bit more about, well, a lot more about what you're doing, but I want to ask this question real quick because every mom thinks their kid's an all-star and going
Yep.
to make it to the major leagues, and every dad thinks that they got work to do, right? And so there's this balance between what's reality, what's dream. You don't want to really stop the kid from dreaming. How do you, through your recruiting process, sort of set the stage so that you're setting him up for success? If I've got a catcher who's an absolute stud who can't field a fly ball in outfield to save his life, I play him at catcher. I don't play him at center field. So talk to me a little bit about that and what you guys have done here.
Yeah. First things, we have an unbelievable resource center with pretty much every topic that you can imagine that you'll go through in college, including picking the right spot. But what we've also done with our website and our platform is we've done painstaking research on metrics of all college recruits that have committed or are at places all over the country. And I'm talking every D1, D2, D3, NAIA, JUCO. And you say, how can you do that? And I can say, if I tell you, I couldn't even begin to explain how we did it, but we did it. And we've taken all those averages and we continue to use those metrics. So at the very base, when you come on our site and you become, a member of All-Star College Recruit, we have this all laid out where you can go in and say, okay, I'm this height, this weight, and the Power Four conference's average is this. And we can also say, hey, here's some metrics. Like for baseball, maybe it's exit velo. For right-handed pitchers, it's velocity. For infielders, it's how hard you throw. In every sport, we take those basic metrics that college coaches look for to say, well, is this kid fitting into what we look for as a recruit? So the first thing is mom might think she has Derek Jeter, but mom might also then say, well, you know what? He is about 5 inches shorter than most kids. Now, again, that doesn't mean he can't play at that level, but it does give a kind of perspective of, hey, my 60 times here, here's where most kids are at this level. And we show all the levels at the different times in their high school progression. So they can also work towards those things too to help them find that right fit.
I love that, and this can help coaches too at the high school level, where their kids are working on specific things to get better to meet their goals, and in turn, that's going to help the team at the high school
Yeah,
level.
absolutely. And look, we live in an analytical sports world. Sometimes I always say, can the kid pitch and can he get somebody out in the ninth with two outs and a man on second? That's really what we want to know. But we live in an analytical world. We want to know spin rates. We want to know exit velo. We want to know all that, not as an end all be all, but as part of the puzzle. And so we offer that to our families to say, hey, this is the part of the puzzle that we might have to get better at.
Yeah, and I love that because when I'm going through the recruiting process with our parents, I have this conversation where I start out and I say, look, if we were playing a baseball game and you didn't know the rules and you just went out there and you did whatever, it would be kind of hard to tell who was winning, who was losing, and who was playing fair or who was playing within the rules because we don't really know the rules. And this is how most parents go into recruiting, right? They maybe got recruited, but most of the time, my experience is they didn't even play or they didn't get recruited to college.
Right.
And they're saying, we think it should be like this. My kid's a superstar, so he should just get recruited and I don't have to do anything. You, you have that. And then you have the kid who works really, really hard and the parents don't have a lot of money and they need financial assistance and they think that their kid has to be this amazing superstar to get that, but there's so many different levels and so many different fits, which is kind of what you were talking about just a second ago, that there's room for everybody at the college level. It's just going to depend on how you stack up, right? And
Yeah.
in what your goals are academically as well as playing whatever sport. And most of the time we're talking about baseball and softball here, but tell us a little bit about you guys do everything, right?
Yeah, we do most sports. We'll continue to add as different sports grow in the NCAA. Like right now, the fastest growing sport in the NCAA is women's wrestling. We don't have women's wrestling yet, but we have the lacrosse and the soccer and the basketball and baseball and football and all those type of sports. But yeah, I think that, again, getting back to that, what you said, the fit and talking to mom and dad. And, one of the cool things about our site also is we have every single Division One, Two, Three, NAIA, and JUCO on there. We have all the metrics about that college. We have their video that they've produced, each college, and we have their tuition, how many kids, are in their classes, the financial aspect, where they recruit from, their recruiting pipeline, all these different metrics, whether it's religious affiliations, what their average financial aid is. So when you start adding these metrics and you can start clicking on these filters, we open up schools that fit that parents never even imagined. And whether it be a D2 or a D3, we also teach that it doesn't matter. There's nothing better than playing college sports. And there's nothing better than creating relationships and teammates that you'll have the rest of your life. and being able to walk back on campus and say, I miss being here. Not, I can't wait to get out of here because it was the wrong fit. So, how do we help these kids and these parents find these things? We use it with tons and tons of filters and metrics where they can sit down and just keep going through it, take notes, look at what they've done, who they've talked to, and really build an online CRM of their experience. So when they go back to make a decision, they have all the information in one place.
How cool is that? So if I'm a parent at home having no idea what to do, this is my first kid getting ready to go to college. They're playing sports. Maybe they're a freshman, maybe they're a sophomore, maybe they're a junior, maybe they're a senior. Can I jump into your site and do I have to meet with you or can I just do this 24/7 on a time that works with my schedule?
Yeah, you can do it on your schedule. You get access to all our reports, and some of our reports will be relevant to you. Some of them won't. But everything they'll take you through their podcasts and reports. They'll take you through the recruiting process. You have access to me 24/7 in a community. You can email me, say, hey, we're going on a visit. Should I wear a suit or should I wear shorts? Or things like that we'll help you with. We'll help mom and dad things not to do on a visit, and all that. So we're here for you. We'll answer. We respond very quickly. But it again, I think what parents don't understand is most most kids need help, and most colleges need help with the connection. The recruiting budgets aren't there. If you're a Power Four kid, hang up the phone. You don't need us, right? You probably don't. But a lot of guys at ninth grade don't know that yet, you know. But if you're like the rest of all of us who didn't get to play at a Power Four, you need to be recruitable. And that is a skill, just like hitting a baseball, making a jump shot, throwing a touchdown pass. That's a skill. And we help families with that skill set for you to raise your hand and say, hey, coach, here I am. You want me, and here's why. And they look through, they build their online, um, really secure portal, which will show all their stuff, right? The stats, all the good stuff that we help them through. And they can send that link to any college coach that they desire. And I will tell you, as a former college coach, I would much rather get that from a kid than that from a service that you've paid thousands of dollars to. Of course, they're going to tell you the kid's good.
Yeah.
But if the kid says, hey, coach, here I am, I've researched your school, I'm a fit. I see your metrics. I can play there. There's not a college coach in the world that doesn't reciprocate, watch that video, and look and say, you know what? I appreciate that. And that means money.
Yeah, and that's such a great point because a lot of times parents and even travel ball coaches like myself get lost in this one-sided perception, right? Like it's only hard for us, the college coaches, it's easy for because they're in college, but it's like you said, unless they're Power Four, it's actually it takes up a lot of their time
Yeah.
and they're very busy, and especially at the JUCO level, they're wearing multiple hats
Yep.
and something like this where you can actually have a conversation with a kid who already knows that they want to go to your school, meets the general guidelines, or at least close enough that they think they can have a conversation with you. Now it's that first conversation, not a blind conversation, or you get this uh, 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 game changer video that you can't see the kid in center field, which is the one who sent in the video saying, "Hey, he's a stud. You should take him." Well, you know what? I can see a little blur out there in center, and it looks like he caught because everybody clapped it. But I don't know what I'm looking at here. But those coaches really appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's part of our process too. We help people with the videos and the questions to ask and the timelines and the whole thing is all laid out. But it is for us, we believe, and for me, just from my experience of coaching forever, you own your recruiting. You say, I'm here. You're going to find the right fit academically, athletically, and financially. And I know we all want to play at the biggest schools and have that, but again, there's nothing worse than not having that right fit. And there's nothing better than playing 4 years at a place you love where you make a mark, right? You make a mark on that university or college or JUCO where people say, "Yeah, I remember him. I remember her. They were awesome." And you say, "I wish I was still there." So and that's what we're looking to do.
That is so cool. I'll relate a specific example to you. Okay. So my nephew is a senior and he was a little behind the eight ball in the recruiting process. And he feels like he's a D1 player. He's a little undersized. He is a great hitter, great catcher. And I told him, I said, actually, in looking at everything in your matrix and your numbers, and this was before I met you, obviously, I go, I think you should go play a JUCO because you're still growing and you can put on probably 20 more pounds and you would be real competitive as a catcher at a higher level. And transferring from a JUCO after 2 years of working, you're going to be a hot prospect. I have
Well,
no doubt.
and it's so true. And then there's value in the education,
Yeah.
right? Most people are coming out of pocket for something, right? It's just the way it works, unless you're a power four. And even then, you never know. What conferences say how much money people get. So how do we get you in and out happy with the least possible debt possible for mom and dad or kid? So they're not living in the basement, or they can get out of there when life slaps them in the face and say, "Let's go. I'm taking this on." And that's part of the fit. It really is.
Yeah. No, I love it. My friend Sherry Nadine is a college sports advocates, I believe is the name of her recruiting agency, but she's only one person. She's very good at it. But it's going to cost you if you go to her, and she's very good. But you're saying all the same things. We don't necessarily want to get you into a school. We want to get you into a program that fits you both on the field and in the classroom,
Yeah.
and financially, right, mom and dad? Financially, it's also a good fit. When
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
talking about my nephew just a second ago, his mom was like, "Yeah, yeah, wherever he goes, that's great." His dad was like, "How much does it cost?" And he's like, "I want to play D1." So we had some
yeah.
very different opinions and strategies in one household. That's one household.
Yeah. And I mean, part of our presentation with the student athlete is about the cost of college, and we go through it because a lot of kids, they just don't think about it, right? I'm doing everything I can to get, where I need to be, but money's money and it matters. And, you know, I used to say this all the time when I recruited, in its base form, mom and dad want to drop you off. They want to pick you up 4 years later, being the best man you can be, have a degree, and if you're good enough, play professionally. And if we can accomplish those things while you're happy and you're making your mark and you're learning how to be a really good person on and off the field, it's a win. It's a win. And it doesn't matter if it's D1, D3, none of that matters. It doesn't matter where your friends go. It matters your fit. And that's a big part of growing up and getting through this. So we hammer that hard with the parents and with the kids. We have all these metrics and all this data and all this information of finding your right fit. Let's use it and let's take a visit. You
I,
don't have to believe me. Take a visit.
I love that you even talked to him on there about how to do that visit and what to do.
Yes.
I love that. I had just in 2 years ago, we had a team that had been playing together since these guys, the main group had been playing together for probably since they were eight. And these
Okay.
were our 18U teams, six of them were seniors, and they were going, and they all wanted to go they all went we took them to a college visit. We had them work out with the team, and they ended up, the college made them all offers, which was pretty crazy, but all six of them got offers. And one of the kids on the drive home from it was on the Western Slope. I'm like, I don't think this is a good fit for you. I don't think the depth they have at the position you want to play and how you want to play. And this coach, he's a very good hitter and a very good pitcher. And this coach will not let you hit if you pitch. And we had that conversation. I said, I don't think this is a good fit for you. And he's like, no, 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 I'm going with all my friends. And he ended up playing in fall ball. And he's like, Coach, I got to get out of here. And he ended up transferring to a California JUCO. But it was, I mean, you as a coach who's seen it over and over again, you can
Yep.
tell that. But as a player, you're just thinking, oh, I'm going with my friends. It's going to be fine. And it's a totally different world if all your friends are playing at their positions because it's a good fit and you're not.
100%, 100%. And look, I mean, it's the Wild West now, right? With the transfer portal. It's craziness. And that's what I tell kids now. Look, you may think you're here and no one found you. You go to a mid-major, you go to a JUCO, they'll find you. Let's get to where you need to be. Let's find the right fit right now from where you're at for you and your family, and things will work out. They will work out. So, don't put yourself behind the eight ball where, like you said, you go in and, there's six shortstops there, or there's three point guards there, and you're like, what happened? Because coaches are two people. They're the person that recruited you, and then they're the coach that coaches you. They're two different people.
Oh yeah.
And kids don't understand that. When you get there, they got to win to keep their job. And the higher level you go, the less opportunity you have to mess up. Now, I've got a kid now at Clemson, and he knew. I mean, I can't get bombed in the fall. They'll just portal me, right? As as a kid that goes to maybe a D3 school who has a bad weekend, they're sticking with you because they're into player development. So you've got to figure out where you fit, and you've got to be honest. And that's the hardest thing for everybody, the family, to be honest, to say, this is where little Johnny or Susie's at. We want to get here. And again, all the bad things we hear about the portal, that's one of the good things. If you do go from here to here, you have an opportunity. Maybe there is an NIL deal out there for you, just not now. And if you never play, you'll never know.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. Hopefully, parents out there are listening. I had a girl on our softball team that went to, she wanted to go play for UCLA. And I said, realistically, here's what their roster looks like right now. Here's where you're at. I don't think you're going to make that team. I mean, we can send information, we can reach out to the coach, but what I would say is start reaching out to the coach and get on their radar. But there's two junior colleges that play in the California, Pacific Coast League, and they will be playing games at or around UCLA. If this school, I think, is a good fit for you, if you go there and play, I believe that you will get seen. And if you develop to where I think you can develop by playing a couple of years at the junior college level, I think you'll have a chance then. And
It's so true.
it still remains to be seen, but I think that logic makes sense to me, you know?
Well, and I always say this to kids now and parents, where it wasn't like this, before portal and all this stuff. But mom and dad, if you were a coach and you had the choice between an 18-year-old boy and a 21-year-old man, and you had to win to keep your job, who you recruiting? Who
Yeah,
you playing?
there's
Who
no
you
question.
playing? So, this landscape has changed. There's no shame in going to a JUCO or a D2 or a D3. It's not about shame. It's about finding that fit and playing and just having the best experience and getting a degree and hitting life running.
Didn't that the quarterback for Ole Miss, didn't he go to a D2 and then transfer
Yes.
to Ole Miss?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I
And
mean,
he and look what he
tons of
did.
stories, tons of stories like that, it just, I mean, the funny thing was, last year, Skeens and Scooble were the Cy Young, and between the both of them, they had two D1 offers out of high school. Cy Young winners.
Right?
So again, everybody develops at different times, and you just never know. And that's why, you know, it's about the odds of putting yourself in the right spot at the right time. And we found that coaches respect and love kids who say, "Here I am. Here I am, coach. I've researched this. I think I can fit. When's your next camp?" You get the benefit of the doubt. And that's what we try to teach people to do. And we try to do it with a lot of value and not have them go broke because they're already doing that, on the off season stuff that they're doing. Just to stay even, right? Just to keep even.
Yeah, and I know there's some parents out here who had this pain, so I'm going to share a little bit of my pain when going through the recruiting process with my daughter, who you see back there on the wall.
Nice.
And I at the time didn't know anything about softball recruiting, and so I went with NCSA, and I said it. This is just my experience. It's not everybody's experience. I paid for one of their higher level recruiting things, and we kept going to all these camps they recommended us going to, and all this stuff. And those camps that we were being sent to were just money makers. They were their money grabs. And
Yep.
she did stand out at some of them, and she was a total number in others, and but nobody knew she was coming. So it was
Bingo. Bingo. There it is.
so they weren't looking at her. They got a couple of glances, and how she ended up getting placed was she went and played a tournament in Nebraska, and her coach couldn't make the tournament, so she called her friend who was a college coach to coach the travel team in Nebraska, and she hit like 700 and had 22 RBIs and just had the weekend of her life. And the coach was like, "Do you want to come play for me?" And so that's how she ended up in college. I mean, you never know. So all that money we paid for recruiting was just kind of like, just floated out the window.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing that I think families really need to learn. They think that they need an advocate for their kid to get to college. They're the advocate.
Oh yeah,
They're it.
yeah,
They're the ones who are going to say, we're going to do this, 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 and this, and we know this is going to happen. And the kids got to, we talk about this in our presentation. Look, this is a team effort here. Mom and dad are going to do this. You're going to do that. If you don't, we can't, it doesn't work. You need to get bigger, stronger, faster, quicker. What are you going to do about it? Don't complain, right? Mom and dad, you need to do this, this, and this to get them on a visit, to get them, so it really is a team approach, and we try to help the families get through that team approach and all that anxiety and all that stress and all that fun and those emotions that recruiting becomes.
yeah. And I love it. And it's something I brought up earlier about it, giving them a goal when they're in high school. And I use my nephew as a perfect example. His dad for the last 3 years was like, you got to put on weight. You got to put on weight. You got to put on weight. And he was like, I'm fine. I'm crushing it. He's competing very well at his size and strength. But his dad talks to me and he's like, he needs to put on weight, doesn't he? I'm like, yeah, if he's going to play catcher at the college level, he needs more weight. And he didn't start doing anything until he started talking to these coaches that I was introducing him to, because I know these coaches, and they're like, yeah, we'd like you to put on some weight. And a few of those coaches say that, and all of a sudden he's a gym rat. He's eating 6,400 calories a day. He's like, oh, and his dad's like, man, I've been telling you this for 3 years.
But that's mom and dad. I mean, what do
Yeah,
they know, right? That's how
yeah,
kids are. And again, yeah, we get it. It's just so true. It's so true. And it's funny watching, it's funny, it's heartbreaking. It's the whole roller coaster stuff, watching kids and families go through this, and you see a lot of them do the wrong things. Um, I remember a long time ago, this before all this stuff started, and I coached. I had a kid I just thought the kid was he was special, and they just wouldn't do anything. He ended up going to a D2, should have probably been D1 and not paid a penny. Did end up getting drafted, made it to AAA, played overseas for a long, but it's again, there was mistakes made. Where that kid could have he was a power four kid. It wasn't power four at the time. It wasn't called that, but so every parent wants to give their kid every opportunity they can. And the only way to do that in this recruiting world is to really, again, like I said, become recruitable and do it the right way. Um, and it can be scary or it can be exhilarating as all get out, when the phone starts ringing.
Yeah, and you're going to learn this lesson one way or the other. Either
Yeah,
your kid's going to end up paying for their college that they go to. They're not going to go to college, or you're going to end up paying. Somebody has to pay for it. If they've got enough skill to be playing at the high school in the travel ball level, I believe they can make it into a college somewhere. And if you get them in a college somewhere, then they can make it somewhere else. And one of the things that I talk about now, my oldest daughter was not an athlete. She chose to be more academic, and she is in pre med, about to graduate from the University of Denver.
nice.
We sent her to a private school because we knew that. And we said, we sent her to a private high school and said her best chance to get in an Ivy League school is to go this route. If she goes public school, we don't think that's going to do her good service. So we paid a lot of money for that. Well, tuition at the University of Denver is about 90 grand a year.
Yeah.
And she's on full academic scholarship. So it's like, if we spend a little time, and we're the number one advocate for our kids anyway, we might
Yep.
as well just follow your guidance, learn from your lessons, and pay a lot less to get our kid on the right track to having a successful life, which is ultimately, what we want. If they're in the right school, having a great experience, they're going to have great friends. They're going to come out of there happy. They're going to come out of there with a degree because they'll want to finish, and they're going to have this experience of being an athlete at the college level, which is like, I never was pro, but if there is anything better than college, it would have to be pro.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's the money, and this is where parents sometimes they have to let go of their ego, and even the players. Money's money. Academic money spends the same way as athletic money.
Yep.
And, well, that's a small school, and, they're not fully funded. No, but they're going to give you 40 grand in academic money. That's a good thing, mom and dad. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
well, Johnny on the team got a scholarship and he's getting this in baseball money or football money, and we're better than him. You gotta leave all that go. Money's money. Get your kids to open up a book every night. Get good at being academic. Because another thing that we talk about with our clients is if you're here and there's another kid here recruiting, the tiebreaker is always GPA. It's always GPA.
Yep.
So you got to be good in classroom. You got to be good on the field or the court. And their life lessons, hopefully, you learn sooner than later.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed at the high school level, they don't teach you really how to learn at the high school level very well. It seems to be a baptism or rite of passage when you go to the college level. Well, all of a sudden they teach you how to learn, and then it becomes much easier.
Yeah.
And when you're an athlete, you have things like the mandatory study hall and the tutors and all those other things. I mean, my one of my best friends, his son got recruited to Monterey Bay, and he barely squeaked in with just enough GPA to get accepted to that JUCO on the West Coast. And then he ended up transferring to ASU because when he was playing there, they he had a tutor who taught him how to learn. And once he learned the process of how to learn and gain knowledge, then he did fine. He did fine in all of his classes, and he came out of there with I think he went into there with a 2.4 GPA, and when he came out, he was like 3.8, and
Yeah.
transferred to play for ASU.
And that's I'm old, so that's the difference now with college. Even when I coached, college 5, 6 years ago, I think colleges now understand that they're not just students, they're customers. And they do everything they can to make sure that you show up, you hand your work in on time, you ask for help when you need it. You're going to get through. You're going to get a degree. You're going to be challenged, but they're there to help, like you say. And I think that it's such a different atmosphere than high school. It's it is different. Kids really thrive and succeed if they're happy, like you say, and that's part of finding the right fit.
Yeah, I love it. So we're kind of nearing the backside of this, and I could talk to you about this for hours because the biggest thing with the travel ball club is recruiting, getting those kids to the next level. And a lot of these parents look to a coach like me, and I say, well, even my experience is limited compared to like a recruiter. And I used to refer for a lot of people to that four-letter word that I don't do anymore. But they there's this huge, huge audience listening right now that's saying, how do I get my son or daughter into the sport that they love at a college level that's a good fit where I don't have to worry about them when they leave? I'm still going to worry a little bit. Mom, we know you're going to worry a little bit, but you feel better about the community, about maybe where it is, about the student to faculty ratio, about the study plans as well as the practice plans for that school. All that stuff. And the way you get rid of that fear and that worry is to know stuff, right? The
Yes,
more you know, the less you are afraid of.
correct,
The
correct.
pilot flying for United is probably not very afraid of flying. It's the little 90-year-old who flies once every 4 years who's terrified of.
Right. Right. No, it's great. And I mean, look, we take, you can go to our site, book a demo. I sit down with, mom and dad and student athlete. Um, Really mom and dad. That's really who I like to talk to. But we get them all on the phone and we take them through our site and take them through our platform and show A to Z what happens. And I do believe that a lot of that fear starts to dissipate and they start to understand that not only is it a process for them, it's a process for the universities,
Oh yeah.
right? And they just got to jive and they will. We'll find it. If they do their job on and off the field, we'll find a fit for them.
Yeah, I love that. So that's a perfect segue. What I would say is, so normally you guys charge $59 a month for this platform that gives them access to take control of their recruiting process and really find the right fit, which is unheard of. That's already such a great value. But I also understand that for our listeners and our community, you're going to add some value to that tonight.
Absolutely, Coach. We love what you were doing, and so thankful you invited us on. Really am. Appreciate it. Our goal is to help a bunch of kids and as many as we can. And I know that's what you do. That's why we coach, right? There's nothing better than that. And what we'll do tonight, instead of 59.95 a month, we'll drop that down to 39.95 a month for as long as you're a member. As long as you use the code PACK, PACK, we'll know that you've heard about us through this platform, and we'll give you unbelievable value at that price and will help you find your right fit academically, athletically, and financially. And before you do that, book a time with us. I'll take you through the site. We'll talk to mom and dad, and I want to make sure you're comfortable. And I know you do too, Coach. I mean, you don't want to recommend anything that you're not behind, and I appreciate you jumping on with us. But let's help as many kids as we can find that fit, get in and out of college, be great citizens, and make this world a better place.
Man, you said it well. And I've been doing this so long, 26 years I've been coaching. And my entire goal is to how do I make this free for everybody, right? And I haven't figured that out yet. We're working with a lot of people and working on that. And we have some great ideas through our Diamond Legacy and those other things that we're working on. But this is one of the great things, right? Technology, just like when computers first came out, IBM was the only one who had it because it was, $20 million for a computer. Now you have this supercomputer that everybody carries in their pocket. Your 8-year-old is
Yeah.
carrying one to school. And so you utilize your knowledge, the community's knowledge, your connections, and put it into a platform and use that technology to make it more affordable, which is exactly, I love it. The closer we can get to zero, the better. And I love
Yeah,
everything
and
about
and
that.
look, we're so confident in what we do. No contracts. I'm not locking you into a year. It's month by month. We are so confident that you'll love our resource center. You'll love how we lay things out. We also have a savings platform in there for people who travel in the summer, can save all kind of money on all kind of stuff, including major league tickets and NBA. You get a bunch of value when you come on this platform, and we will show you that. Book a demo, allstarcollegerecruit.com. We'll show you everything. You put in the word pack, and we're off and running. And hopefully, we're gonna find that fit. Doggone it, we will, and we'll hopefully take that stress and pressure away. There'll be a little bit, but not like. But there should be, right? There should be.
Yeah.
You're trying to get something, so there's always hurdles in the way when you set goals. But it's a fun ride when you know you're doing everything you can do. And mom and dad really feel good when they know they've done everything they can.
That's so funny you say that because I thought I was getting close to being a professional at this. And then I had a daughter who was going through the process. And the pressure was building and building and building. And then she found the perfect school and she went to JUCO. And I was like, okay, I'm good. And then after the first year, she's like, Dad, I want to go to a 4 year. I want to keep playing. And I'm like, oh God, we got to go through this again.
Yes.
Pressure was building, building, building. And then the right school and the right coach and everything came. She came in contact with them and they loved her, and she'll be moving on to a 4 year next year. But it's oh yeah, it's stressful. It's exciting. I love it. I love what you're doing here. I'm so glad you came on tonight. And why don't you tell everybody, just to make sure it's clear, how do they get signed up for your system? How do these parents get their kids headed to the right college? And I'll put that in.
Yeah, allstarcollegerecruit.com, allstarcollegerecruit.com. You can get on there. You can see all the information. You won't be able to get behind the wall, but if you book a demo with me, I'll take you behind the wall. We'll talk about the process, what you're looking for, and how we can go through the filters. You'll become part of a community. We send out you know, motivational stuff every day that's not sports specific and just keeping everybody's head in the game. So allstarcollegerecruit.com and book a demo with me, or you can go through coach and coach can jump on my calendar and say, hey, we got a team here. I'll do a Zoom for a whole team if you want, or an individual. You guys put in pack at the checkout, $20 a month off. And I guarantee you will not find better value anywhere else.
I love that. And we can tell that you were a coach because I always say that fear is false evidence appearing real, right? And all I'm saying is the more knowledge every time you have knowledge, you have experience, whether it's yours or somebody else's, you have the tools and the resources you need to make a decision. Fear goes away. It just disappears. Suddenly it's not an issue. And
Absolutely.
I love what you guys have done here.
I appreciate it. I mean, look, I appreciate you having us. You're doing great things too, and that's our goal is to hook up with people that of like mind. So we appreciate it.
I love it, Coach. Well, thanks for a great interview. Hopefully, this touches a lot of people in our community, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach.